Jard had been waiting for this day for as long as he could remember. The sky had turned a soft shade of violet, streaked with the faint traces of distant starships that cruised silently between Earth and the outer colonies. Ever since the Crithians had announced their visit to humanity, every human in the city was buzzing with excitement. But for Jard, it was personal. He wasn't thinking about interstellar treaties, alien technologies, or the grand ceremonies that politicians were planning. He was thinking about pets. Ever since he was a child, Jard had loved animals. He had trained dogs, rescued stray cats, and even nursed a tiny injured bird back to life. He had always imagined what it would be like to care for a creature from another world, something extraordinary that no human had ever seen before. He pictured a small, furry animal with multiple tails, or a luminescent being that could change colors with its emotions, or maybe even something that floated in the air like a living balloon. He had dreamed of the day when he could walk through his small apartment and have a creature of unimaginable beauty following him, a being that could bridge the gap between worlds and bring a piece of the galaxy to Earth. The Crithians' ship hovered silently above the city's largest park. It was enormous, an iridescent structure that shimmered with colors humans could barely comprehend. As it descended, a soft hum filled the air, vibrating through the ground and into Jard's chest. People around him stared in awe, but Jard's heart was pounding for one reason only. The Crithians were here, and they were going to give him a pet. He had been selected for this gift because of a contest the Crithians had held, one that tested human compassion and imagination. Many had tried to predict what the Crithians would give. Some expected a small robot, others a bizarre plant, and a few had even hoped for something dangerous, like a mini predator. But Jard had only thought about one thing: companionship. When the landing ramp unfolded, a group of Crithians floated down gracefully. They were tall and elegant, their skin like liquid silver, shifting slightly in the light. Their eyes were black pools, reflecting the world around them in strange ways, and their movements were smooth and precise, as though they were aware of every atom in the air. They approached Jard, carrying a glowing crate. It pulsed softly like a heartbeat, and Jard's excitement intensified. "Jard of Earth," one of the Crithians spoke. Its voice resonated in his mind rather than his ears, clear and melodic. "We bring your gift." Jard nodded eagerly, barely able to contain himself. "Thank you." "I've been waiting for this my whole life." The Crithians smiled, or at least Jard thought they did. Their faces didn't move like human faces, but there was a warmth in their posture, a deliberate kindness. Slowly, they opened the crate. Jard leaned in, expecting fur, wings, claws, or maybe glowing eyes, but what he saw made his jaw drop. Inside the crate was not an animal. It was a girl. She looked about Jard's age, but everything about her marked her as utterly alien. Her skin shimmered like teal glass under the sunlight, and her hair floated in gentle waves as if it were underwater. Her eyes were silver pools that reflected him and the world around her, and her expression was a mixture of fear, confusion, and curiosity. She looked at Jard as though she had just woken from a long dream. Jard froze. Hello," he said awkwardly. The girl blinked and then her eyes widened. "Where am I?" she asked, her voice melodic, almost musical, with tones Jard couldn't fully understand. The Crithians stepped back, giving them space. Their presence was almost ceremonial, and Jard suddenly realized that he had no idea what to do next. This wasn't a pet. This was someone, a person. I thought this was a pet," Jard stammered, unsure if he should step closer or retreat. "I mean, you're beautiful, but I didn't expect." The girl tilted her head slightly, studying him. "Pet," she repeated. "I am not a pet." Jard nodded quickly. "Right, of course." "Not a pet, I didn't expect." The Crithians made a sound, something like a soft hum, which Jard took as laughter. One of them spoke again. "You have been chosen not for ownership, but for companionship. You will learn from her, and she will learn from you. Humanity is being observed, and this interaction is important." Jard swallowed hard. This was bigger than he imagined. His apartment, his dreams of a small companion to feed and play with, none of that mattered now. This was not just a personal gift. This was humanity's first real test in the cosmic community. The girl stood slowly, her movements fluid and precise. She extended her hands, fingers long and delicate, and for the first time Jard noticed something else. She was trembling slightly. "I don't understand this place. Who are you?" "I'm Jard," he said softly. "I live here on Earth, and I guess I'm supposed to show you around." He felt ridiculous saying it. A few moments ago, he had been imagining cuddling a small alien creature. Now he had to introduce humanity to a being who was completely foreign in every way. Her eyes shimmered. "Lyra," she said simply. "I am Lyra. My people sent me to observe humans." Jard blinked. "Observe humans?" He laughed nervously. "Well, you picked a good human to start with, I guess. I've always wanted to learn about you. Well, maybe not you, but your kind." Lyra tilted her head, clearly confused by his words. "My kind? Yes, your species, your people, you're alien." She seemed to consider this. Then a faint smile appeared. "I see, you think I am a curiosity, but I am not here for curiosity. I am here for understanding." Jard nodded slowly. "Right, understanding, that's fair." He realized he had no idea how to explain Earth, humans, or even himself. Every word seemed inadequate, but somehow he knew this was exactly the moment where humanity's strengths, curiosity, creativity, empathy would need to shine. The Crithians stepped back further. One of them spoke again, voice like chimes in his mind. "Jard, you will not receive instructions. You must improvise, teach, guide, learn, show what it means to be human." Jard gulped. Improvising was his strong suit when it came to pets. He had once taught a dog to ride a skateboard, but this was a new level. This was not training. This was communication, connection, and maybe survival. "Lyra," he said slowly, trying to sound calm. "I guess we should start with the basics. I'll show you my world and maybe you can tell me about yours. That seems like a fair start." Lyra nodded. "I will try, but you must know I have not experienced your world before. Everything will be strange. Your customs, your smells, your foods," she paused. "And your emotions, they are volatile." Jard laughed. "Volatile is one word for it, but don't worry, I think you'll manage." For the next hour, they explored the park together. Jard showed her birds in flight, trees bending in the wind, and children playing games. Lyra observed everything with wide-eyed fascination, occasionally touching leaves or examining insects that crawled near their feet. She asked questions in her melodic, almost musical language, and Jard used a small translator device gifted by the Crithians to answer. He noticed that she laughed, a high, clear sound, when a squirrel leapt onto a low branch and stared at her. He had never heard a laugh so musical, so full of wonder, that it seemed to make the air itself shimmer. "You humans, you are strange," she said finally, using the translator. "Your need to create, to play, to experience, it is illogical, but there is beauty in it." Jard felt a thrill of pride. "That's the best compliment I've ever gotten." The day passed quickly. They ate together, Jard introducing Lyra to simple foods, though she was careful with everything, examining textures and smells. She touched the food lightly, tasting it in small amounts, nodding occasionally with appreciation. They walked through the streets, watched cars move in strange patterns, and observed humans going about their lives, oblivious to the cosmic significance of the two of them. By evening, Jard realized something profound. Lyra wasn't just an alien visitor. She was a mirror. Through her eyes, he saw his own humanity, the creativity, curiosity, and empathy that made humans unpredictable and remarkable. And perhaps, he thought, that unpredictability was exactly why the Crithians had chosen him. As night fell, the city lights reflected in her shimmering teal skin. Jard felt an unusual sense of responsibility. He had started the day thinking he would receive a pet. Instead, he had been given a companion, a friend, and a challenge. The universe was vast and full of dangers, but for the first time, he felt that humanity might have a place among the stars. Lyra turned to him, her silver eyes gleaming in the soft glow of the city lights. "Tomorrow we continue," she said. "There is much I must learn, and you will teach me." Jard nodded, smiling despite his nerves. "Tomorrow," he said, "and the day after that, and the day after that, welcome to Earth, Lyra." For the first time, Jard realized that this was not a story about a pet, but about humanity itself. And the adventure, his adventure, had only just begun. The next morning, Jard woke to the soft hum of the Crithian translator device. Lyra was already awake, sitting near the window, gazing at the rising sun with wide, silver eyes that reflected the first golden rays of Earth's morning light. Jard rubbed his eyes, still adjusting to the surreal reality of having an alien girl in his apartment. "You're awake early," he said, careful to keep his tone light. Lyra's eyes met his. "Time is different for me," she said. Her voice, though filtered through the translator, still carried a musical rhythm that made ordinary words sound extraordinary. "I have observed your world for one cycle of its rotation. I want to understand more." Jard chuckled softly. One cycle, huh? That's basically one morning. Don't worry, we'll stretch that understanding a bit. He offered her breakfast, toast with peanut butter and jam, along with a cup of warm tea. Lyra observed the food carefully, turning it in her hands as if examining a strange artifact. She touched the bread lightly, then brought a tiny corner to her lips. Her eyes widened and a musical sound escaped her, her version of laughter. "This is enjoyable," she said. "Your food simple yet full of flavor." Jard smiled. "Glad you like it, but don't worry, that's only the beginning. Earth has a lot of tastes to try. Some good, some not so good." Lyra's gaze drifted to the window. "Your cities, your people, they move in patterns I do not fully understand. There is chaos, yet order exists within it." "That's humans for you," Jard said. "We're messy, noisy, unpredictable, but somehow it works, most of the time." Lyra tilted her head. "Unpredictable, fascinating. Your species, I had not expected such variability in behavior." Jard felt a spark of pride. "You're just noticing now, you'll see more soon enough. Humans can be incredible when they need to be." After breakfast, Jard decided it was time to take Lyra out into the city. He wanted her to see the ordinary world of humans, parks, streets, markets, but also to witness humanity at its most creative and resilient. He grabbed his jacket and gestured toward the door. "Come on, let's start the lesson." Lyra followed, moving gracefully but cautiously. Every sound, every color, every movement fascinated her. People on the street stared, but Jard noticed that most of them assumed she was some elaborate costume or an actor for a performance. No one approached. Somehow, she had an aura of authority and mystery that made humans instinctively respectful. "Why do humans stare?" Lyra asked quietly. "They're curious," Jard said. "You're new, different, interesting. People notice what they don't understand." Lyra nodded. "Curiosity, another trait I must study." Their first stop was the city park. Children played with frisbees, chasing each other and laughing. Dogs barked happily, tails wagging. Jard pointed to a small group of kids drawing with chalk on the pavement. "Look at them," he said. "They're creating. Humans love to create. That's how we survive boredom, learn, and express ourselves." Lyra crouched, observing the chalk lines. "Creation, expression, survival linked. Interesting correlation." A small dog ran past, barking loudly, and Lyra flinched slightly. Jard laughed. "Don't worry, it's harmless. Humans love our pets. That's what I thought you'd be when you first arrived. Funny, right?" She tilted her head. "You expected me to be a pet." "Yeah," Jard admitted. "I mean, I know it sounds silly now. I was just imagining a small creature I could feed and play with." "Not you." Lyra's silver eyes softened. "I am glad you did not receive what you expected. Expectations limit learning. I will learn more from your species because your imagination is unbounded." Jard felt a warm glow in his chest. Somehow, in the midst of this alien encounter, humanity's best qualities, empathy, curiosity, humor, were shining through, and Lyra was noticing. That made him proud. After observing the park, they wandered to a local market. Jard wanted Lyra to experience the sensory overload that humans thrived in. The scents of spices, the chatter of vendors, the colors of fresh fruits and vegetables, and the sound of music spilling from street performers. Lyra moved carefully, touching fruits and vegetables gently, occasionally smelling them. "Your smells, some are pleasant, some overwhelming. Your senses must be highly developed to manage this environment." Jard nodded. "We get used to it. But you'll notice something. Humans adapt quickly. We're resilient." A vendor called out, offering them samples of exotic fruits. Lyra accepted politely, examining the texture and flavor with scientific curiosity. She nodded appreciatively. "Your species enjoys variety. Adaptation requires experimentation." "Exactly," Jard said. "That's how we survive. Humans survive because we try things, fail sometimes, and keep going. Even if it seems chaotic, there's method to it." Lyra's gaze lingered on a street artist painting a mural. Colors collided in wild patterns, creating a scene of a dragon flying over a cityscape. She studied it intently. "Humans, you communicate through symbols, colors, patterns. You make sense of emotion through physical forms. Fascinating." "That's art," Jard explained. "We use it to express ideas, feelings, and experiences. Sometimes we fail, sometimes we succeed. But the process, that's what matters." They spent hours walking the city, exploring museums, libraries, and even a small observatory where Jard showed her the night sky through a powerful telescope. Lyra's eyes widened at the sight of distant planets and stars. Your world is small, yet it exists in an immense network. Your species must be brave to consider the stars. Bravery, curiosity, stubbornness, that's humans, Jard said with a grin. We want to reach beyond ourselves. Sometimes we succeed, sometimes we fail. But we always try. Lyra turned to him. You embody your species' best qualities: creativity, curiosity, courage. You make your world comprehensible to me, yet unpredictable. I am learning quickly. Jard laughed softly. Glad to hear it. But you should know, learning about humans is a lifetime task. Even we don't fully understand ourselves sometimes. As evening approached, they returned to Jard's apartment. He noticed Lyra seemed more comfortable now, though still cautious. She had observed, analyzed, and interacted with more humans in a single day than many of her species would experience in years. You have shown me much today, she said. Your species has potential I did not anticipate. You are remarkable. Jard felt a thrill of pride. Thanks, Lyra, but remember, this is just the beginning. You haven't even seen the challenges yet. Lyra's silver eyes narrowed slightly, as though considering the meaning behind his words. Challenges? Yes, Jard said, feeling the weight of responsibility. Humans face danger, chaos, and sometimes even threats from outside. We survive because we work together, think creatively, and refuse to give up. That's something you will need to witness. Lyra tilted her head thoughtfully. Survival through cooperation, ingenuity, and resilience. These are key traits. Your species is more formidable than I imagined. They sat in silence for a moment, the city lights flickering softly outside the window. Jard realized that Lyra's presence had already changed him. He had started this adventure thinking he would care for a small alien pet, something to nurture and amuse himself with. But now, he understood that he had become a teacher, a guide, and an ambassador. Humanity's image depended on how he acted, how he showed the strength of human character. I suppose, Jard said quietly, this is what the Crithians wanted. They're testing humanity through us. If I do well, maybe humans will get a chance to show the galaxy what we're capable of. Lyra's eyes reflected a soft glow. You embrace responsibility, yet you carry uncertainty. This is human. Your species survives through hope, courage, and adaptability. Jard smiled. You're catching on. It's not easy, but humans were stubborn, sometimes reckless, but always resilient. Lyra nodded almost imperceptibly. I will continue to learn, and you will continue to teach. Together we explore and understand. This will be a productive partnership. As night deepened, Jard looked out at the city skyline. He thought of the park, the markets, the children, the stars above. Humans were messy, chaotic, and often foolish, but there was something undeniable about them: courage, creativity, compassion. He realized with a quiet thrill that these were not just human traits. They were humanity's weapons, its identity, its claim to a place in the universe. Lyra shifted beside him, her hand brushing against his. Tomorrow we explore further, she said. Yes, Jard replied, feeling a sense of purpose he had never felt before. Tomorrow and every day after that, there's much to learn and the universe is watching. We can show them who we are. He realized that this partnership, this unlikely bond between human and alien, could change everything. Not just for him, but for all of humanity. They were on the brink of a journey that would test courage, empathy, ingenuity, and determination. And for the first time, Jard felt truly ready. The night was quiet at first. Jard could hear the faint hum of the city beyond his window, the distant chatter of humans unaware of the cosmic stakes that hovered above their heads. Lyra sat beside him, her silver eyes reflecting the city lights like liquid mirrors. They had spent the day exploring, learning, and observing humanity, but Jard knew this calm would not last. Something in the air had changed, though he could not yet name it. He was right. A sudden vibration ran through the apartment, soft at first, then growing stronger. The translator device on the table emitted a low, urgent hum. Lyra's eyes narrowed and her entire body tensed. Jard, though startled, quickly followed her lead. They are here, Lyra said. Her voice, melodic and clear, carried an edge of urgency. Rogue faction, they track my kind, they will not stop. Jard swallowed hard. Rogue faction? They are jealous, Lyra said. They oppose the Crithians' alliance with your planet. They seek to capture, control, or destroy. We must move. Now, Jard's heart raced. He had expected alien encounters, strange technology, and unusual creatures, but combat. This was not part of his pet plan. He glanced at Lyra, seeing determination in her gaze. There was no fear, only focus. He realized then that she trusted him to act, to survive, and to protect her. "What do we do?" he asked. Lyra's hands moved over the translator and then to a small device hidden beneath her clothing. It unfolded into a glowing map of the city and its surroundings. "We improvise, use your environment. Humans have advantages you may not realize. Your species is unpredictable. That is strength." Jard nodded. "Unpredictable, huh? That's one thing I can handle." They moved quickly, leaving the apartment for the streets. The city seemed peaceful, unaware of the approaching danger, but Jard knew otherwise. He followed Lyra's lead as she guided him to a narrow alley, their steps quiet, cautious. "They will come in numbers," Lyra said, her eyes scanning the sky. "You must think creatively. Humans survive by adapting. Use what you know." Jard glanced around, noticing trash bins, market carts, and old scaffolding. He realized she was asking him to set traps, not weapons but clever devices to slow down or confuse attackers. His mind raced. In the park, he had improvised games and obstacles for children and dogs. Now he would improvise to survive. A faint shimmer appeared in the sky, like heat waves over asphalt, and then one by one the rogue attackers descended. They were sleek, alien vessels, dark and angular, moving with predatory precision. Jard's stomach tightened, but he refused to panic. "Remember," Lyra said, her voice calm yet commanding, "humans are resourceful. You are stronger than you think. You can turn ordinary objects into advantages." Jard took a deep breath. He moved quickly, pushing over a trash bin, setting up barricades with market carts, and even tying a series of ropes and wires between lampposts to trip the attacker's sensors. He had no experience in combat, yet instinct guided him. Creativity, improvisation, and sheer stubbornness became his weapons. The first attacker's ship hovered low, scanning the alley. Jard ducked behind a cart. Lyra moved with him, her body fluid and graceful, her eyes calculating trajectories and weak points. "Aim for confusion," she whispered. "Not destruction. We must delay them, not destroy them yet. Humans' surprise is your ally." As the alien ship sent out scanning drones, Jard triggered a small makeshift device, a mirror array reflecting the sunlight into the drone's sensors. The drones faltered, confused, their systems overloaded by unexpected reflections. Jard grinned. "Surprise is ready," he muttered. Lyra's silver eyes gleamed. "Impressive, your species adapts under pressure, creativity and courage combined." More ships descended, this time moving in coordinated patterns. Jard realized he had only moments to react. He grabbed old tarps from the alley, covering wires and setting up trip hazards. He climbed onto a nearby scaffolding and waited for the first attackers to enter the trap. The ships moved closer, unaware of Jard's makeshift defenses. When the first drone touched the wires, it malfunctioned and spun uncontrollably, crashing into another drone. Jard and Lyra moved quickly, using shadows to stay hidden. The attackers' formation broke and confusion spread. "You are learning quickly," Lyra said. "Your species can manipulate environment, resources, and perception. That is formidable." Jard felt a surge of confidence. "We humans are full of surprises," he said, his voice steady despite the adrenaline pumping through him. "We don't give up easily." Hours seemed to pass in minutes. Jard and Lyra used every tool at their disposal. Overturned carts, reflective surfaces, narrow alleyways, and even the city's network of pipes to create obstacles. Every move required quick thinking, improvisation, and trust. The attackers, realizing they were being delayed, became more aggressive. One ship fired a pulse that ignited a pile of trash. Jard and Lyra dived behind the nearest wall, shielding themselves from sparks and heat. "This is dangerous," Jard said, feeling the heat singe his jacket. I mean we weren't trained for this." Lyra touched his shoulder. "Fear is natural, but courage, creativity, and persistence, these define humans. You are showing all three. Your species may be underestimated, but it is resilient." The rogue attackers regrouped, their strategy shifting from surveillance to direct confrontation. Jard realized that ingenuity alone would not be enough. They needed an edge. He scanned the area, spotting the observatory they had visited earlier. A plan formed. "Follow me," he whispered to Lyra. "We can use the telescope's laser alignment system. It's strong enough to temporarily blind sensors. That should give us an advantage." Lyra nodded. "Use human tools in unconventional ways. This is your strength." They raced to the observatory, scaling walls and ducking under beams. Jard activated the telescope system, aligning it with the incoming attackers. The laser fired, creating bursts of light that overloaded the enemy sensors. Confused and blinded, the rogue ships faltered, allowing Jard and Lyra to escape to a nearby rooftop. From above, Jard watched the attackers retreat. He could feel his heart pounding, adrenaline still sharp in his veins. Lyra stood beside him, calm and observant. "You survived," she said simply, her silver eyes reflecting a mixture of admiration and something Jard couldn't quite name. "You think quickly, improvise, and you do not falter. This is human strength. Your species has potential the universe may not anticipate." Jard laughed softly despite the tension. "Thanks, but I think we're just getting started." "The universe is a big place and apparently dangerous too." Lyra looked at him with what seemed like genuine interest. "Dangerous, yes, but also opportunity. Your species shows courage, creativity, and loyalty. These traits are valuable beyond your planet. You are learning and teaching. Together, we are effective." Jard felt a surge of pride. He realized that this wasn't just about survival. Humanity was being tested through him, through his actions, and the choices he made under pressure. The way he adapted, the way he protected Lyra, the way he thought creatively in impossible situations. These were all examples of human ingenuity, courage, and resilience. As they descended from the rooftop to the quieter streets below, Jard noticed Lyra studying him carefully. "Your species is unpredictable, that is strength. You act despite fear, think despite danger, and protect even without full knowledge. This is remarkable." Jard shrugged modestly. "We're stubborn, I guess, and sometimes lucky, but I'd rather think of it as being human." Lyra smiled faintly, the first real smile Jard had seen from her. "Human, I will remember. Courage, loyalty, creativity, these define your species. I see it clearly now." The city around them returned to normal, or as normal as it could be after such chaos. Humans walked, unaware that an alien faction had tested humanity's potential, and that Jard had been the instrument of that demonstration. He felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders, but it was not heavy. It was inspiring. "You handled yourself well today," Lyra said. "Not all humans would have adapted so quickly. You are exemplary." Jard grinned. "Thanks, but you know I had a pretty good teacher too." Lyra raised an eyebrow. "Me?" "Yes," Jard said. "You guided me, helped me think, and stayed calm when everything went crazy. Without you, I'd have been, well, toast." She tilted her head thoughtfully. "Perhaps, but together we achieved something neither of us could alone. This is cooperation. Your species relies on it more than you realize. It is effective." They walked in silence for a while, the adrenaline slowly fading. Jard thought of the Crithians, of the rogue attackers, and of the universe beyond Earth. Humanity was small, fragile, and yet astonishing. Humans were clever, resourceful, and brave. They were unpredictable in ways no other species could be. That unpredictability, that creativity under pressure was their secret strength. As they returned to Jard's apartment, Lyra turned to him. "Tomorrow, we explore further. There is more to learn, more to understand, and more to prepare for. Your species will need to demonstrate everything I have observed today and more." Jard nodded. "I know, but if we can handle this, we can handle anything." Lyra's eyes shone. "Yes, together we are effective. Humanity has potential. I see it clearly now." Jard felt a quiet thrill. This was more than just a gift. This was a test, a journey, and a partnership that could define the place of humans in the galaxy, and he was ready. He glanced at Lyra, then out the window at the endless stars above. "The universe has no idea what's coming," he said softly, "but we'll show it." And for the first time, he felt that humanity, messy, stubborn, courageous, and creative, was exactly where it needed to be. The city was quiet as dawn broke over the horizon, painting the streets in soft shades of pink and gold. Jard stood by the window of his apartment, gazing at the skyline. The events of the previous night still pulsed in his mind, the rogue attackers, the improvisation, the danger. But more than that, he felt a quiet pride. Humanity had survived. Humanity had adapted. And now he realized it was ready for more. Lyra joined him at the window, her silver eyes reflecting the morning light. She had been unusually quiet, absorbed in thought. Jard turned to her. "You okay?" She looked at him, her gaze steady. "I am processing." "The events of last night, they reveal much about your species. Humans are formidable despite appearances. Courage, creativity, adaptability, these traits are exceptional." Jard smiled. "Thanks, but it wasn't just me. You were there too. We worked together." Lyra nodded. "Yes. Cooperation amplifies strength. Together, we achieved what neither could alone. I am beginning to understand why the Crithians selected Earth as an emerging ally. Your species has potential that rivals many civilizations I have observed. The day ahead was full of purpose. Jard knew that the Crithians would be monitoring their interactions closely, and that their partnership was not just personal. It was representative of humanity as a whole. He had expected to take it slow, to learn and teach gradually. But after the events of last night, he understood that this was no longer a simple learning exercise. Humanity's reputation, its potential in the galaxy, and even Earth's future were tied to their actions. Lyra guided him to a large open area near the city's edge, a park that stretched wide and open. "We will simulate challenges," she explained. "You will demonstrate human ingenuity, adaptability, and courage. You must show your species full range. This is preparation." Jard nodded, feeling both excitement and responsibility. "Preparation for what?" he asked. Lyra did not answer immediately. She extended her hands, and a holographic map appeared above them. It displayed a complex layout of terrain, obstacles, and potential hazards. "For the universe," she said finally. "For threats beyond your planet, for opportunities your species must seize. The Crithians and others watch. Humanity's place is emerging. Today we test further." Jard took a deep breath. He had faced improvisation before, using trash bins and lasers to outsmart attackers. But this was different. It was a full-scale exercise, and the universe was watching. He felt the weight of responsibility, but it energized him. They moved through the park, setting up challenges together. Lyra observed each human trait Jard demonstrated: problem-solving, resilience, creativity, humor, empathy. When they encountered obstacles, fallen trees, uneven terrain, or complex mechanical puzzles, Jard used human logic and imagination to overcome them. He built simple devices, rigged mechanisms, and used everyday materials in extraordinary ways. Lyra studied silently, occasionally nodding or commenting on the effectiveness of his methods. "Your species adapts quickly even under pressure. You see opportunity where others see obstacles. That is remarkable," Jard chuckled. "We're stubborn, sometimes reckless, but we refuse to give up. It's a survival skill, I guess." "Survival," Lyra repeated. "It requires courage, adaptability, and cooperation. You embody these traits fully. Your species is ready to engage the galaxy." As they continued, the exercise escalated. Holographic simulations projected rogue factions, dangerous terrain, and unexpected hazards. Jard had to think quickly, anticipate threats, and act decisively. Each time he succeeded, Lyra's silver eyes reflected both admiration and delight. "You think quickly," she said. "You improvise with creativity. You take risks yet mitigate danger. Humanity is exceptional." Jard felt a thrill. He realized that everything humans did, risking, experimenting, creating, was a statement to the universe. They were unpredictable, clever, and brave. Their ingenuity was a weapon as strong as any technology the Crithians had witnessed. Hours passed, and Jard grew exhausted but exhilarated. Lyra guided him to the final stage of the exercise, a simulated confrontation with a rogue faction, far more dangerous and unpredictable than before. Jard's heart pounded, but he refused to show fear. He thought back to the night of the real attack, remembered how he had improvised, and drew on that experience. "Remember," Lyra said softly, "humans are strongest when they combine courage, creativity, and cooperation. Use all three, trust yourself, and trust your instincts." Jard nodded. The simulation began. Holographic ships and drones filled the sky, moving with alarming speed. He ducked behind obstacles, used reflective surfaces to confuse sensors, and guided Lyra to positions where her abilities would complement his own. They communicated silently through subtle gestures, anticipating each other's movements. The exercise grew intense. Drones swarmed from multiple directions, holographic barriers blocked their path, and simulated explosions rattled the terrain. Jard felt the familiar surge of adrenaline. Fear was present, but it was secondary. Determination, creativity, and teamwork were stronger. Lyra moved fluidly, providing guidance and observing patterns. "Predictable tactics fail," she said. "Your species thrives on unpredictability. You are alive in ways others cannot anticipate." Jard grinned, dodging a simulated attack. "That's humans for you. We think differently. We adapt. We fight when we need to, and we survive when we must." Together, they navigated the simulation, turning apparent disadvantages into advantages. A fallen tree became a trap, a reflective puddle blinded sensors, and a discarded bicycle became a makeshift barricade. Every move showcased human ingenuity, courage, and resilience. Finally, after what seemed like hours, the simulation ended. The rogue faction holograms dissolved, leaving the park silent once more. Jard and Lyra stood side by side, breathing heavily but triumphant. Lyra turned to him, her silver eyes shining. "You have demonstrated fully. Courage, creativity, cooperation, your species excels. Humanity has strength the universe cannot ignore." Jard felt a swell of pride. "Thanks, Lyra, but I couldn't have done this alone. You guided me, helped me see patterns, and kept calm when things got intense." Lyra smiled faintly. "We are partners. This is effective. Your species deserves recognition. Your potential is vast." As the day ended, the Crithians appeared in their shimmering ships above the city. They had observed the exercises, recording every detail. Jard felt a mixture of nervousness and anticipation. Humanity had performed well, but he knew that judgment now rested in alien hands. A holographic projection appeared before them. The Crithian leader's voice resonated in Jard's mind. "Jard of Earth, Lyra, you have demonstrated traits that define humanity: courage, creativity, resilience, and cooperation. Your species has potential beyond its world. Earth is recognized as an emerging power in the galaxy. Continue to teach, learn, and adapt. The universe watches and respects those who survive, thrive, and innovate." Jard felt a wave of relief and pride. He had begun the day thinking he would care for a pet. Now he understood that humanity's future was intertwined with Lyra, with the Crithians, and with the cosmos itself. Their partnership had proven that humans were capable, resourceful, and ready to meet the challenges of a larger universe. Lyra placed her hand lightly on his arm. "You have shown humanity's best. Courage, adaptability, loyalty, and ingenuity, these define your species. I will continue to learn and you will continue to teach. Together, we are formidable." Jard nodded, feeling a deep sense of purpose. "We've only just begun. There's so much more to learn, so much more to show, but we can do it. Humans, we always find a way." They watched as the sun set over the city, casting long shadows and painting the sky in brilliant hues. Jard realized that this was more than a personal adventure, it was a cosmic awakening. Humanity had survived challenges, adapted to the unknown, and demonstrated its potential. Lyra's gaze shifted to the horizon. "Tomorrow, we explore further. The universe is vast and threats will come, but your species will be ready. Courage, creativity, and cooperation, these will guide you." Jard smiled. "And I'll be ready too, for you, for humanity, and for whatever the universe throws at us." They stood together in silence, two beings from entirely different worlds, united by trust, respect, and the understanding that the strength of a species was not just in technology, power, or numbers. It was in heart, mind, and spirit. As night fell and stars began to twinkle above, Jard felt an unshakable certainty. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not insignificant. They were clever, resourceful, brave, and resilient. The universe had underestimated them once, but it would not make that mistake again. Lyra turned to him one last time that night. "Your species is remarkable. I will remain as companion, guide, and observer. Together we will shape what comes next. Humanity is ready for the galaxy." Jard nodded, feeling the weight and the thrill of those words. "Then let's show them," he said quietly. "Let's show them what humans can do." And as the stars shone brightly above, Earth's first true partnership with an alien species took root. A bond forged not by domination, fear, or control, but by trust, courage, and the limitless potential of humanity. For Jard, for Lyra, and for all of humanity, the adventure was only beginning. The universe was vast, uncertain, and full of dangers, but humanity, messy, brilliant, stubborn, and creative, was ready. And that readiness, that combination of courage, ingenuity, and heart, would ensure that Earth's place among the stars was not only secure but legendary.